Today, I think I'm going to walk through how to implement a extremely simple MACD crossover strategy. Um, and this actually may not be, I just Googled this real quick and pulled it up to show something. This may not be the one that I was actually going to do, but I'll wing it and do it live. Uh, Later on, I will also talk about how to get different announcements set up. Did some work on the announcement system this week. So we'll go through it, talk about the updates that were made and how they can be useful for you. I'm just going to send a quick blast out to everybody, let them know that we're live. And of course, I pulled up my own page on Twitch and it started sending out my own voice, which I did not want to hear. There we go. Stop that. How to implement a MACD crossover strategy in Superalgos. And fire off announcements as the system triggers different stages of the strategy. Tweet. All right. And I'll drop it in the official Superalgos community Discord. And the official Telegram. Yep. And that's pretty much it. All right. Let's get started. So Investopedia. This is where I've been learning a lot about different indicators. As again, if you're new to watching these, I knew absolutely nothing about algorithmic trading, indicators, anything like that before I started working in Superalgos. I found the project because I tinker around on Raspberry Pi boards, Odroid, single compute boards, and I was looking for a new project. I was also thinking about making my own cryptocurrency trading bot because I know Python pretty well. I've always wanted to learn more about Node.js and the different front end React.js and things like that. And just kind of found the project. I think I saw it on Reddit and decided I'd go ahead and give it a try. And so I've been using it for probably close to a year now. Still learning. The project is still under heavy development. I'm making contributions where I can, and I'm learning a lot while I'm doing it. So that's why I'm here, helping you stumble through all the things that I'm stumbling through. Oh, and tonight I am drinking Trendler Oktoberfest. It's only 5.2% alcohol, a lot more malty, made by Tired Hands, and it's delicious. I guess I could show off the label here. Ooh. It's really good. My local brewery right up the street from me. They had some bad press. You can look it up. I'm not going to get into it. I don't think it has anything to do with the beer. Hopefully it has nothing to do with the beer. and I think they're taking strides to correct themselves, which is great. Anyway, so let's find some more information about the MACD here. Whoops, of course. Decided to set this all up in Brave, and I'm not a normal Brave user, but I'm getting used to all the advertisements that keep popping up. So, Investopedia. A lot of information here about different things like the MACD. And I will, while we're getting started, I'll git pull upstream develop, get my code base up to date. Because when you are developing, it's a lot easier, even though you may have more bugs that you're going to run into on the latest develop, it's a lot easier to not have merge conflicts than dealing with them later if you're not working on the latest head. So now I'll do my node setup, no shortcuts. And if you are not familiar with command line things, what I did there was I hit Control R to do a backward search. So I don't have to type out all the commands myself. I can find the last one that I did that began with node set, and boom, hit enter. Does its thing. So anyway, while that's setting up node dependencies, we can look at the MACD here, learn a little bit about it. It's got several things going on with it, and you can do a very simple buy low, sell high, buy low, sell high strategy with it. Of course, if the conditions are right, and if the market works with it well, which not all markets work with every indicator exactly the same way. And not all market conditions are perfect buy low, sell high. As you can see, there's a couple of other ones here. It's just going to zoom in for me, where you get some false crossovers that you may not want to buy here and sell here. So it's obviously a little bit tough to see exactly when you're at the super, super low to do a buy, and then you're at the super, super high point to do a sell. So now I'll do node platform. And I will jump into my local host here. And I'll expand that. So you can learn more about the different details of everything. And here's where they talk about, these little false up and downs that you may not want to buy and sell at. But in the interest of time, I'm probably just going to do the super simple detect when there's a crossover event. And then we can work through maybe in another video, in another session, how to weed out some of the false signals that may not be as great or as ideal for performing transactions. Let's see. We have one person viewing us right now. Hello out there. Hope you find this interesting. All right. So first thing I want to do is I want to load up a fresh getting started tutorials. The code base has been going through a little bit of a reorganization lately. And I believe the Getting Started tutorials workspace is the only one that's been really updated and works. So I'm going to call this, oops, cancel. Can I edit? No? What happened here? Am I having CPU issues now? There we go. Stop. Oh, yeah, I was waiting for the tutorial to load. Let's call it GST, sorry, for the Getting Started tutorials. MACD crossover. Save that. I don't really need to change my IP because I am on localhost, but I will come over and set up Binance US because I am in the US. So I have to set the code name here to US. Now I save, and now I reload. So I guess if you aren't very familiar with MACD, as I was not a couple of months ago, and I'm still not very familiar with it, but I believe this is what you would call an oscillator, where it goes below 0, and then above 0, and then below, and then above. And so you can look for crossovers of the 0, and work on that as well, or use that to strengthen your signal of when the MACD and the signal line crossover, or sorry, I guess they call it signal line, but also the trigger line. Let's make sure we're loading here. So one of the first things we have to do is find the data mining plugin that has the MACD in it. And I believe I remember it's in the Sparta trading. Data mining. Let's add in all the missing data mines. Let's see. I don't believe it's in alpha. Buddha. WineGecko. Delta. Zeus. Webhooks. Turtles. I'm pretty sure it's in Sparta. So I will just leave Sparta. And the candles, and I'll get rid of everything else. Just to keep this simple. Get rid of masters. I'm going to clone the lightning strike. Nah. Yeah. I'll go ahead and clone the lightning strike. And then go to my downloads. Let's see, this is the one that we just cloned. I'm going to call this MACD crossover. And I'm going to go back over to the plugins, get rid of the lightning strike plugin. And then you should see when we refresh, let's see, I'll place this right here. Save, refresh. Yes, I know this is a little bit of a pain in the butt. I agree. But it's the best way to make sure that you're working on the correct workspace and that you have everything saved properly. Keep in mind there is no undo at the moment. So you may start out making multiple duplicates of your workspace. Or another thing I like to do if I'm working on a trading strategy is I'll actually clone it, and then I will have multiple copies with different versions of it. You can detach them, move them over here, and then do your right click, reattach to get them back in as being active. But anyway, let's go into this. I'm gonna just delete these real quick and add in, not two situations. Just start out fresh with brand new situations. I'm gonna do market buys on this just to have it happen immediately. So let's see, I'll delete that. And I'll get rid of that. So add a new execution algorithm. And I'll add a market buy order. And then come down here to my close. Add an execution algorithm. Add a market sell order. And then I'll deal with the other parts later. While I'm here, I'm going to link up these two market orders before I forget. So one thing that is new, and I'm still getting used to, is I can save node to be moved. And then I can go to where I want to move to. And I can snap. Oop. Yeah, I forgot to pin it first. Copy that. Go up here and snap it. That's how it works. Oh, that is my market buy order. All right, so then we right click and link. And now that is set up. And now we can do the same thing with our sell order. Pin it. Copy the node. Go up to market sell order 1. Move the node there. Up. And that out of the way. Link. See how we have the yellow ring around it. Link those. And now we're done with that. So let me get, data running. Now that I've got a brand new trading system, going to uninstall the previous BTC and then reinstall it so it links up with the proper trading system. So if we look at our back testing, you'll see we have the MACD crossover task, and it is linked up with the MACD crossover backtesting session. We have our reference to the trading system here, and we're good to go on that front. Oh, and the data, that's what I was originally doing, getting the data going. So if we expand our Sparta, you can see we have the MACD right there, as well as a couple of others. I'm going to edit this to only pull from 2021. make it a little bit quicker, and start it off. Excuse me. Oh, good. And I already had some pre-populated data. So we're just catching up to the last few days. And I believe all of the Sparta mine is going to have to start fresh. Yep, these are all starting from January. Oh, some of them are not. That or they just calculated that quickly. Maybe it was just that fast to do all the multi-time frame market. Okay, so next, let's go into our charting space. We want the backtesting session. Let's turn on our candles. We are going to want to see, oh, this is one of the times where we'll be working with this, sorry, I keep losing train of thought here. We'll be working with this MACD 122609. It's kind of, from what I can see, the most standard version of it, but you can see that there are other versions of the indicator in here that have different time periods associated with them. But now when you turn it on, you can see that you get this kind of not really useful graph at the bottom here. And that's just because of the way that the charting space works at the moment. I'm sure somebody could tell me if there's a better way to do this now. Oh, sorry, my wife is having computer issues and she is telling me that she's about to throw her computer through the wall. Sorry. That's the life of a sysadmin slash techie. What was I talking about? Oh, yes. So because of the scale on the side here, it will basically start at 0 and then try and fit in as much as it can when you have it on the automatic, where both of, I guess you may not be able to see this, but above this little icon on the right here, there are 2 white arrows, and we can turn them off. Then we can scroll to zoom in and out. And of course this box is in the way, so we move it out of the way. But now we can zoom in way down here. And we can see our MACD a little bit better. The other thing you can do is turn the candles off. But let's see what we have going on down here. So we have this histogram, which shows increases and decreases. And then we also have our signal line and the MACD line. And you can see in the box, I guess you can't really see it that well. The little information box that you have line values, signal values, and histogram values. And as you scrub over the graph or the chart, your values will change. So this actually looks like one of the things that we may be looking for, where we have a line below, or sorry, we have a signal below the line. Is that correct? Maybe Am I reading this correct? I always get confused. Let's look in the positive space because negative numbers on the fly in the heat of the moment. So yeah, sorry. Line is the MACD line. No. Confusing myself. Signal, I guess, is technically the MACD. And the line is, I believe, the moving average. Let's look back over here just to make sure that we're getting the terms correct, because like I said, am not a professional. Pa, 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 pa. Yeah, the EMA 12 and the EMA 26. The signal line. So what color are they making the signal in these charts? Transaction signals are generated when the MACD line, the blue line, crosses through the signal line, the 9-period EMA, the orange. Okay. So the blue line is the MACD, and that's the faster moving. So that would be line in our case. And then this signal line is the red or the orange in this graph, which is the slower moving line. And so here we want to trigger on when the line is, signal is below the line. Have to make sure I have these proper. So one easy thing to do, if you are not sure what all of the different variables are, is to use this editor. So as you mouse over these, you can see you get different options. You can scroll to change the option. So I'm on Sparta now, and now I'm on candles. I want Sparta. One thing I've noticed is if I go to time period first, and then I come over and change it, oops, now my time period is back to 24 hours. So I do time period last. Go to Sparta, I want MACD, I want the current, I want the 12/26/09, and I want the line. Double check this again. So my line is below the signal. So I'm going to trigger on when my line is below the signal, less than the MACD current signal. And let's see, we're working let's do a 4-hour, because I think it may not say it in this one, but I think one of the other Investopedias where they were talking about the actual strategy, they say that it's best to use these on longer time frames, 4-hour, 6-hour, 8-hour, instead of shorter time frames, because they become very volatile, and you get a lot more false signals. Excuse me. All right, so once we edit, I've got my 4 hours, I've got my line is less than my signal. Then we want to push to the JavaScript code. Now, if we look in here and we edit, we see charted 4 hours, MACD 122609, line less than the signal. Trigger off. I'm going to forget about the trigger off for the moment, so I'm just going to make that false. And then we will take our position. I'm just going to copy this code out of here. That was a Control A, Control C. And now I'm going to paste. And I'm going to swap this. So when the line goes above signal. So we're going to be triggered on this whole time. And then as soon as it goes above, we'll take our position. And we'll come back after back testing and make this a little bit better. So our initial target for the rate is going to be the candle close value. And the quoted asset is going to be the balance of our current quoted asset. That's correct. And I'm going to just make this true for right now. So as soon as we trigger, as soon as take position hits, we will place our order. I can delete the simulated events. And our manage stage, well, let's pause on the manage stage for right now. My wife is still having trouble with her. I'm sorry, into your... So what happened with my wife, if you're curious, her MacBook Pro, she was walking from the kitchen table to the couch the other night, and the screen just died, would not turn back on. A really fun time. Spent an hour trying to figure out if it was dead or not, if I could hook it up to a screen or not. She's on an older version of Mac OS, so if this laptop was left open, it wouldn't show anything on any other monitor. And so I couldn't quite figure out if I was able to log in or not. Anyway. That's what's going on with that. So our market sell order, we're going to essentially do our trigger on event, because as soon as it crosses back below, we want to sell. So when the line goes back below the signal at the 4-hour mark, we want to sell. And our target rate is going to be the limit orders or rate. I'm going to set this back to being the current candle close also. And the size and base asset is going to be the balance. Yep, that sounds right. We can close these, get them out of our site a little bit. And then, let's see, I'll just delete this real quick because we're going to start over fresh. Add a formula. So our stop loss, we want to find our position, begin rate, And I'm going to say if we go down, so I'm going to multiply this by, let's say if we go down 5%, so if we're at 95% of the value where we started taking our position, we will move into the close stage and look to sell, just to make sure that we don't fall too much further. And for our take profit, we're going to do more or less the opposite. So we'll just say 1.05. And this will help take some of those false signals out, but not all. So this will kind of say, as soon as the charts have gone up 5%, we're going to be looking to sell and take our profit out. It took me a while because I wasn't, again, familiar with any of these different stages, what stop loss and manage take profit meant. It took me a while to kind of understand what these different stages, how to really use them effectively in a strategy. And these are very basic examples. You can get very fancy with these because you can keep adding in multiple phases. You can move back and forth between different phases, and then you can have a final phase that's just like, hey, if you got here, move on. So with this very simple strategy now implemented, save, make sure our data is up to date, and it looks like we've got everything here. We will set our chart down to the 4-hour. And I'm going to turn off the MACD for now. I'm going to get back to our candles. Set our time frame. Let's see. Let's start here on July 20th. We'll go ahead and pick out a very favorable time frame just to kind of highlight how this may work. So we'll start on the 20th, and then maybe we'll go to, I only want to do like a week. So we'll go to like the 27th, 28th. Let's go to the 28th. I'll turn on some of the simulation objects. So when we come back, we're doing market buys of our trigger stage, our open stage. Whoops. Manage, close. That's okay. And then we'll do our counters, statistics, and episode balance. All right. Let's turn those off. Set up our base asset at 0. Set up our initial balance. Let's just do $100. Our time range is going to be 2107, 21, 2107. What did I say? 28. Time frame, we'll do the 4-hour. And we won't worry about slippage and fees and all that. So save again. We run the task first. And then we run the backtesting session. And if we look back at our console, oh, and we're done already. Cool. Where did our stuff go? Oh, just takes a refresh. Oh, hey, we got a buy and a sell. Okay, so everything just doesn't refresh properly now. That may be a bug. So, oh man, our counters, our balances aren't showing. There we go. Zoom in a little bit more. So perfect. All right. So you can see we started our trading episode over here. And then we triggered on. We purchased. We managed. This is our managed stage. Trigger stage ended. After our sell, we went up 5%. The managed stage finished. Closed stage took over. And then we were looking for that MACD to cross back over, and boom, it did. So we sold. And we made 22% profit. Not bad. Could it have been better? Sure. But not too bad. Let's see if we run this over a longer time frame. So let's make this, let's try a month. That went really quickly. Obviously, testing in different time frames takes different amounts of time to calculate the outcomes. So doing it in a 4-hour time frame will run a lot quicker than a 1-minute time frame. But you may also miss out on some profit. But at the same time, you may also miss some false signals and all that stuff. So it's up to you. So boom, now we have many more. This one didn't do so well. Got to buy high and a sell low. But here we got to buy low-ish and a sell high-ish. Moving along. Oh, and then we hit our end of time frame. But we still ended up 28%. Possibly more. Not too bad. Let's zoom out and pick a bad time frame. So let's see, May 23rd looks pretty bad. All the way through July 21st. So we'll set this to May 23rd and July 21st. That went really quick. I feel like it should always backtest in a 4-hour time frame. Look at that. Many, many more buys and sells. What do we do? Bought high, sold high. We got 2.83% out of that one. And then, whoops, fell down to negative 5%. And then we went to negative 4%, so we made a little bit of profit there. And then here, we're up to 1% ROI, so made a little bit more. And then lost a little, we're at 0.49%. And then after this sell, we're at 3.32. Made a little bit. But then we lost, -3%. Lost again, -8%. Lost again, -14%. So that highlights that your testing time frame could mean everything in terms of your strategy. Definitely need to make sure you are testing out all kinds of different markets, market conditions. One thing that I've looked at is like, obviously this market is trending down. So maybe you just don't want to do anything in that market. So one thing you can do is jump out to larger time frames and say, okay, if I want to buy in the 4-hour time frame, but the 12-hour is still trending down. Let me turn candles off. Well, that's not really what I wanted. Let me get some of these out of the way. Where was I looking? May 23rd through July 21st. So maybe we want to say we only want to look to start buying when the line, the 12-hour, is above the line, the signal. So we can come in here to our trigger stage, add another condition. We can effectively copy this. And we want our 12-hour line to be above. And then we will turn off if that 12-hour goes below the signal. So save that. We're going to keep our same time range, 23rd through July 21st. We're going to keep the same time frame, the 4-hour, and we're going to run it. Man, that's quick. So let's turn the MACD off. Let's turn the candles back on. We'll zoom in. We will set our 4-hour. And it looks a little bit better, but you can see at the end here, we're still down 5%. But we had fewer buys, fewer sells, fewer strategies. But it didn't take out all the bad parts. So anyway, that's kind of how it goes. I don't see any questions. Looks like we've got 2 viewers. Hello out there. Let's talk about announcements real quick. So, if you're like me, you want to know what your trading system is doing without actually looking at it. So you can see you have these add announcement on the trigger stage, open stage, manage, and close. Excuse me. You also have them on the events. Trigger on, trigger off, take position. Excuse me. Our market buy order event. Sorry, where is this? Create order event has it. The phases have them. And then in our close stage, again, the create order event has it. So one thing that used to happen was it was only the announcements were only triggered at the very start of something. You know, it was basically just like an event, boom, trigger stage on, or in it. And then if you wanted anything else, you had to add them on to the different events that were happening. But there was no way to fire. I don't know. That sounded to me like I had a weird accent there. Send the event or send an announcement when, like, for instance, the trigger stage is closing or the open stage is closing. So when I'm back testing, one thing that I always like to see is where my ROI is. And sometimes I like to see how many strategies, trying to put my mouse over top of it. But of course, when I do that, the little graphing space here, extra info space goes away. You may want to see how many hits and fails you have, the number of orders, the positions, the strategies, the periods, you know, basically any continuous update of what your system is doing. So what I just implemented was a way to say, all right, standard legacy, if you will, way of treating on the stage enter and exit is that only the enter fires. What you can do now is come in and add in on exit as a parameter, true, or false. You can also add on enter, true or false. If you put in neither of these, it will keep the current operation, which is on enter. If you only put in on exit true, it will not do on enter. If you only put on enter either true or false, it won't do on exit. So basically as you would expect it to work. On the events, like create order event, these don't really have an enter and an exit to them. You can still specify the on exit or on enter, but on exit right now effectively does nothing. So there's no real point to it. But it won't crash the system if you happen to put these configuration options in there. The only thing that will happen is you won't get an announcement if you say on exit true, and that's the only thing in there. And then one thing that I didn't really talk too much about last time was setting up the, let's see, add our social bots, setting up the message format. I kind of touched on it, I think, but let's open up the docs here because I think the words are a little bit better. Social bots. Where do I have? My example? Maybe I don't have it in there. Discord bot. here we go. So I can add this formatter, and these are really the only variables that we have at the moment, into this configure box. Sorry, I want to call it, I have webhook URL, and then I have format. And my message format is going to be exchange space market colon message. And you can copy and paste this into Slack bot, respects that. Discord bot respects that. I don't know if it works with the Telegram bot. I have not done any work on the Telegram bot. And the reason why that option is not in here by default when you load up, again, is to keep the past functionality without messing people up who already had a Telegram bot working. So these were this format was brand new on the Discord bot. And then the Slack bot was basically the exact same as the Discord bot because they're both very simple webhooks. I believe the Twitter bot will take that also. I haven't fully tested out the Twitter bot yet. And there's an extra comma there at the end. And there is some more configuration, I believe, that has to go into the Twitter bot. But anyway, if you want to have your exchange and your market added onto the front of your messages, this is a very simple way to do it. And then if you want to format your messages, you can put in things like, this is the close stage exit. And we can find our trading episode statistics and our ROI, which could be interesting to see at the very exit of your close stage. And you can say ROI equals, close your quotes, put a plus symbol because that's how you concatenate strings in JavaScript, and then you can put your ROI value. The other nice thing about these announcement conditions is that if you remember back to the lightning strike, where there were many different limit sell orders, there were like 6 or 7 of them. Every time you hit that close order operation, which we don't have on the market sell orders, but on the limit, let's just add a limit sell order here real quick so you can see. When we have that cancel order event, it will actually close the stage and then reopen it. So even if your sell doesn't get fully filled, you hit the cancel order event, you may trigger the announcement, which you may not want. So what you can do at that point is come up here, get your trading order last, make sure that the order name is sell limit order or something like that, and make sure that the status is closed and the exit type is filled. And then you'll make sure that you're only sending your announcement after your actual sell has happened. So how would you, I guess I could have shown you how to actually do that. So let's go up, get our limit order name, go back. Oop. So we'll want to make sure our limit order value, let's call it cell limit order. I don't have one at the moment, but then you can put in double and. Make sure that our status is closed. And make sure that the exit type, and this may not be the actual words, but basically for illustration purposes, we want it to be filled. So if all three of those conditions pass, this will evaluate to true, and then it'll fire the announcement at the exit. Well, let's get rid of the on enter. So we only have our on exit true. So when, again, if we had a limit order, we're doing market order on this one. The market order name was, sorry, if the limit order name was sell limit order, it was closed, and it closed because it filled, then we would send out a message saying this was the close of the exit stage and our ROI is whatever the value is. You can do similar things on the other events, but again, there's no real enter and exit. It's basically only enter, effectively only enter. You're placing your order, and that's basically it. So you could put something in here like placing buy order at value add a plus sign in there after your close quotes, because again, concatenating strings. And I don't think at this point that is filled in as the trading last. So you'll probably go in here to your open stage and put in something like the begin rate. At least in ours, that begin rate is effectively going to be what our actual order is. It may be slightly different, but it's going to be pretty close. So we could say, or I guess we could say buy order placed. It doesn't really matter. Buy order placed at candle value. Boom. And I'll take off the condition because it's basically yes or no. So yeah, then as the trading system is going through, whichever one of these bots you have configured and working, you have to have your proper webhook URL for the Slack and the Discord bots. Telegram bot needs more bot token and chat ID and things like that. Twitter bot actually has 4 different secrets that you need to put in, and you'll get those all from joining the Twitter developer program, which is free. But once you start going through and setting up your information there, it'll be pretty plain what tokens you really need. And their documentation is pretty good. So one day I will test this and make sure it works, but today is not that day. We're a little bit over time. Unfortunately, I need to get some sleep so I can keep up with my kids. So just to rehash what we did a quick search on Investopedia to find an indicator like the MACD, figure out how we can implement something like this in Superalgos. We learned how to find those different data mining plugins, where those indicators are. Ran our data mining to get it. What else did we do? We viewed it on the charts. Figured out that you may need to change scale to be able to see things properly. I think that there are plans to move things like these oscillators into different layered views or separate windows so that you can view them a little bit better in line with the candle charts to see what's going on a little bit better. But for now, you either need to turn everything off except for the oscillator. You need to change your scale so that you can see the chart. And then you can view the values, work with the histogram. We learned how to use the code editor or the condition editor to figure out what values or what variables are available to us and how to push that into the JavaScript code. There's also a button retrieve from, fetch from. So if you copy and paste code in, like I did with this, you can hit fetch and then edit, and now you've got your variables in there. We did a brief discussion of what the trigger on, trigger off, take position, open stage, manage stage, different functions of the trading system are, when they fire. And then we talked about the announcements, how you can now have them run on enter of a stage and on exit, as well as the previous way of using them on the events, which are basically only on enter. I think that's it. Maybe we can get into more working on this MACD next week. If there aren't any other questions or any other topics that come up, we can keep working on this together. One of the main ideas of Superalgos is to have a whole bunch of different community strategies to pick from. It's also, they're working on having community indicators and signals so that you don't necessarily have to run this MACD crossover yourself. You can just consume signals from other people and use those other external signals in your trading strategy. I think that functionality is still without any type of time frame of when it will be fully implemented. But there are kind of generic APIs and generic webhooks that you can consume also. Maybe we'll get into that next week. But yeah, that's all I got for tonight. Look us up on GitHub. Look us up in Telegram and Discord. We have a Reddit community. Jump in, start asking questions. Find me next week. Follow me here on Twitch. Follow me on YouTube. I'll get these videos up, and probably they will be available tomorrow on YouTube. Like and subscribe and share, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter. That's where I'm announcing what topics I'll be covering or looking for suggestions on topics to cover. That's it. If there's anything else, I don't know. Catch you next week. See you on the flippy floppy.